Okay, for this question, we have two functions. F of x is 3x plus 1, and g of x is the square root of x plus 5. The first thing we want to find what is f plus g of 4. And the good news is this behaves exactly the way you'd want it to behave. F plus g of 4 is simply f of 4 plus g of 4. What is f of 4? Plug 4 in for x. 3 times 4 plus 1 is f of 4. What is g of 4? Square root of 4 plus 5. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 4 and 5 is 9 root 9. 13 plus 3. And our result there is 16. Our next question there is f times g of x. Well, that just creates a new function. F times g of x is simply f of x times g of x. So f of x, 3x plus 1, times g of x times the square root of x plus 5. Nothing to do here, really, other than write it down. But to recognize that new function, f times g, is just the first function f times the second function g, as you would expect. And our last question here is g over f and list its domain. That's a little tricky, okay? So what do I need? I need g over f, a new function of x, and we want to find its domain. So that is g of x over f of x, as we would expect. What is g of x? Square root of x plus 5. What is f of x? 3x plus 1. How do we do the domain now? That becomes the question. Downstairs cannot be 0. We cannot divide by 0, so I know that. 3x plus 1 cannot be 0. 3x cannot be negative 1. X cannot be negative 1/3. Okay, but what else do we know about the domain? The thing under the square root cannot be negative. So x plus 5 has to be greater than or equal to 0. So x has to be greater than or equal to negative 5, but it can't equal negative 1/3. So if I lay out my number line, greater than or equal to negative 5, fine. But when I get to negative 1/3, I have to remove it because that makes the bottom 0. So my domain will be these intervals. And then how do we write that in interval notation? Square bracket, negative 5 to negative 1/3 round bracket, because we don't actually include the negative 1/3. We include the negative 5, that's why it's a square bracket. Union, left to right always, round bracket again, negative 1/3 to plus infinity. That's what the domain of that new function g of f would be.